It's always a pleasure to teach my Messages of Hope workshop at the Omega Institute in New York. The greatest honor is when I get to channel my guides for a large crowd that's gathered. I love it because they bring beautiful energy and make the channeling so much easier. I hope you enjoy this session courtesy of the Omega Institute, in which my guides spontaneously gave a discussion about who we really are as awareness embodied. I never know what they're going to talk about, and this one was pretty powerful. I hope you feel the energy and enjoy the questions and the fluency of the answers that came through Sanaya at the end. Good morning. You may speak to us, and so we will repeat, good morning. Good morning. Yes, and thank you so much for the higher energy. It is quite important to be aware of what you are radiating as often as you are able to remember to do so. And that word, aware, is the title of our discussion with you this morning. You may call it a lesson. It is merely reminding you of what you already know, for it is who you are. Awareness in a body. Why is this important to a weekend in which you are discussing messages of hope? The messages of hope come from making a connection with higher consciousness, and the hand goes upwards, but do know that consciousness does not have a location. Consciousness is. You are consciousness. This is the key to making the connection. The awareness that you are awareness itself is the key to receiving messages of hope, which translate into messages of knowing that love never dies, for love is consciousness in expression. Consciousness is indivisible. It simply is. It is your true nature. And until you dive in with curiosity to discover your true nature, you may go about an entire lifetime lost in the story of you. What do we mean by the story? Why, you come into this world fully aware that you are awareness in a body. And you may say, at that moment of taking your first physical breath, "Oh my God, what have I done?" I have taken on a body, and very soon I remember this story. I will get caught up in a story as soon as these two beings who have birthed me put a name on me, put a label on me, and label after label, and the cultural influences take over, and I start having a belief system. And worst of all, I may come to believe that I am separate from other beings around me instead of remembering I am. And why are these two words so important? Turn up the love, please. For when you take away the story and all the elements of your biography, what remains? Awareness. And how is awareness expressed for the human? Through the knowing that you exist. Say to yourself now, presently, in this moment, I am. Yes. With nothing to follow those two words, you are without a story. You know that you exist. This is the basics of awareness. I am, and I know this. This is the same in every being. This is what remains with you after you leave the human body. I am. And you may see the body that you have left behind before it dissolves. And you say, that was my temporary vehicle, but I still exist, and I know this. I am. And at this point, you may choose to continue the story, for the story is the vehicle to growth. There is nothing wrong with the story. It is how consciousness expresses itself and has adventures in consciousness. And that is what life is. Adventures in consciousness, in awareness. And now perhaps you are beginning to understand that consciousness and awareness are the same in the terms of which we speak now. There are various scientific ways you could look at consciousness as it relates to the brain, but that is not our point here. We wish you to understand, as far as making the connection with higher consciousness and receiving messages of hope, that consciousness and awareness, when we use these two terms here, are the same. And you are awareness itself. We are not speaking of you in a body. We are not even speaking of you as a soul. For you think of a soul and you think of this field now. But what is the soul? An expression of consciousness. Consciousness in a form, but a very light form as compared to the human form. The human being is a very restricted expression of awareness, of consciousness. The soul is a more spacious expression of awareness. What is your source? What is the source of all this awareness? Why, it is this. Here, now, aware awareness, being. If you need a label, if you need a title, if you need a name, may this be your name. Aware awareness, being. It is always here. It cannot die. Awareness is the field, and notice how we delineate it now, as if it can be put in a box, or it could be put in a circle. It has no form. It needs no form. The human mind likes to categorize and put things into boxes and pigeonholes. But consciousness cannot be contained. It simply is. And you are this. Not you are that, as if it is separate from you. You are this. Awareness. Being. Being what? Aware. Do you see, if Suzanne had shared this with you, it could have possibly gone simply over the head. But we are imbuing it now into the soul's awareness, which is always here, so that you can embody more of this awareness that is you. And so what, you say? I don't understand the purpose of all this talk. Why, all that you experience, all that exists, arises from and in awareness. Do you understand this? Until you examine how the mind works, how the world works, you may think that you are thinking up all that you think. When in fact, when you go deeper and understand that you are awareness with no box, no circle, simply aware awareness, being 360 degrees if we must give it a location, simply flowing consciousness is. It does not sit. It is. You are this. Aware awareness, being. You always have been. And you were so expanded that you got lost for a while in simply being. And perhaps it became a bit lonely For we, as one indivisible awareness, made the choice to become a we by creating the illusion of separation so that we could have the experience of looking from outside and from inside and from all angles, using what? Awareness, our true nature, our very being, to observe. And so as you understand that you do not think up thoughts, that thoughts arise in awareness, perhaps from now on, you will become more aware, more conscious of what is simply arising. And you will realize that you cannot control what arises in awareness. This is when the ego becomes a bit frightened and may wish to push back. You mean to say, I do not control my thoughts? I can control what I will do. And how is that working for you, we ask. And so we wish you to notice now the next thought that arises in awareness. Become aware now and listen. Did you control that, or did it simply arise? We would show you how little control you have. We ask you to not picture a pink elephant. And there it is. All that you experience is naught but sensations, thoughts, and feelings arising in a dynamic, eternal flow of awareness. And if this sounds exhausting, that is why you blink on and off. You have moments of utter being, complete silence from sensations, thoughts, and feelings between each. And it behooves you to spend time simply being awareness, so that you notice that there are indeed cycles of sensations, thoughts, and feelings, the stuff that arises in awareness, and the moments of pause between each. Why is this important? For the more time you spend simply being, this here now awareness being, the more those who have messages for you from alternate fields from the same field can insert thoughts that arise as if they are yours, but you will come to recognize they come from another field. And we had Suzanne redraw the diagram so that you would understand. In the case of this imagery, the entire white board is the field of being. This here now awareness being. But it has become delineated once we draw an outline. But these are merely for understanding. Consciousness unfolds in patterns, patterns of energy and information. And these patterns repeat themselves. And the more they repeat themselves, the more solid they seem to become. And then you call this mine and yours. But whose patterns are they really? Yes, they are identifiable as a certain field within the one field which has no boundaries or borders of awareness. But they cannot be separated from that field. Therefore, all thoughts arise from one source. And perhaps now you are saying, finally, I understand this oneness. And when and as you are willing to release your grip on my and mine, and labeling yours and theirs, and realize that yes, there is an I, and a me, and a you, and a they, but all, when the boundaries dissolve into awareness being, then you will find peace. For peace is always and already here. And where is this here? in awareness. Do you understand? And if we were to go on now, we would simply be repeating ourselves, coming at this from multiple angles. But the greatest way for you to understand your true nature so that you can connect with loved ones who have passed and understand that that is possible because they too are awareness being, which cannot be killed, which simply flows and dances and interacts with itself, taking on roles and parts and stories. The more you come to understand this, and until you understand this, you will feel separate and will not find that peace. But as you will learn later, there is only here. And perhaps now this will make more sense to you. When we tell you that your loved ones have not gone anywhere when they pass, they have not gone off to another reality, that all realities are here, perhaps now this makes greater sense to you. For all there is awareness. Can you find awareness in your dreams? Can you point to it? Why, where is it? It is here. I am. And that is where you go when you die, to the awareness, the instant awareness that I am more than this physical body. I am consciousness itself, expressing itself in limitless forms. And the sooner you come to that realization here whilst in a body, the sooner you will find this peace. And so it behooves you to spend time each day through commitment to experiencing yourself beyond, beneath, before the story of you. And do remember that the story is everything and anything that comes after those two words, I am. The ego will want to fill in the blank. Do not allow it in those moments of silence. Simply sit as pure being and notice how the thoughts arise, and notice how the sensations arise, and notice how the feelings arise and want to take you away from pure awareness. And then you will say, as you become aware, awareness being in awareness, not so fast, ego. The gig is up. I am on to you. I understand what you are trying to do. Distract me with the story. Distract me with the thoughts and sensations and feelings to take me away from the awareness that this peace I have been seeking, that this love, which is total connection, has been here all along, for there is only here. But the story is so attractive with its ups and downs and its drama, and yet that is exhausting. And so now you know you face a choice to simply be awareness being, or to go out and have fun for a while. There is nothing wrong with the story. It's just what awareness does and how awareness expresses itself. And so you may look upon others now and say, they are not aware that they are simply awareness being. They have gotten a little lost. And perhaps I can feel a bit more compassion for them now, for I was lost for a while as well. But I am remembering now that all is simply arising in awareness. Everything is temporary except this here, now. Awareness being. Do you understand? Do you know, there is a choice here. We could step aside and let Suzanne get on with the teaching, or we could answer a few questions. The choice is yours. Would you like us to answer a few questions? Yes. And so, raise a hand, one or two of you, and we will babble on for a moment to allow the microphone to be placed just so.
Hi, Suzanne.
Good morning. What is the question, please?
I have a question about IVF and awareness around the process from your perspective and what that looks like spiritually.
Are you speaking of in vitro
Yeah.
fertilization?
Sure am.
Do you know that the soul makes many choices, both before, during, and after an incarnation? Do you know that you as a soul chose your parents? Yes. And so, why would a soul not choose two parents who very much want to have the experience of a child and have not been able to do so in what you consider the normal way and are going about this using human technology? And from whence comes human technology? Why, from awareness bubbling up in the minds of those who wish to help those who were infertile by giving new methods. It is a sacred method, for it has been sourced from source. Do you understand? So celebrate this way of bringing new life into this world, understanding that it is the soul's choice to come into this world in this method. And it is always the soul's choice to depart as well. We wish you to more and more come to see yourselves as soul and to shift to the soul's perspective, which is much more spacious and expanded than the black and white version of being human. Is there another question, please?
Good morning. I'm wondering if when we dream, we are actually traveling to the other side, or it's possible to travel to the other side.
Whilst dreaming and whilst sleeping, the human soul is talking with the guides, having adventures with loved ones who have passed, but these do not always translate into your dreams. So what we are telling you is that while the human body is sleeping, the soul is traveling, but that is not necessarily expressed through the dreams. Do you understand? Yes. Mostly your dreams are the way the human body deals with thoughts and images and sensations which have arisen during the day, and it is the way of processing this, and processing energy and information which is a bit chaotic and needs to be expressed, which is why you may find that sometimes your dreams are upsetting or frightening, but it is merely consciousness and patterns of this that are a bit chaotic. But beneath and beyond that, the soul is conferring with guides, doing its thing, whilst the body is not being quite so needy. Does that make sense to you? Thank you. And if you will send more energy, we can answer more questions through Suzanne. And we are quite willing to do so through those who are watching offline, if you can figure out a way to do that. But meanwhile, next question, please.
Hi. Dr. Wayne Dyer, after he passed, channeled a book through Karen Noe, The Weak Consciousness. And he said the one thing he got wrong in his teachings in life was saying, I am, and that it should have been, we are. And I'm wondering what Sanaya's thoughts are on that.
Wayne Dyer has also come through Suzanne multiple times, and she could tell you a story about the I am, for it was a great awakening that soul in form known as Wayne, the story of Wayne Dyer, came to understand the I am. He did not necessarily get it wrong. That is a label. He simply has expanded his awareness. To put any label at all and put something in a box is to categorize, a very left brain way of expressing things. Can you flow and understand that you are the I am eternally, but that here in human form, the we are is a more inclusive way of understanding our interconnectedness. We know that this is what the channel known as Karen Noe was attempting to say for Wayne Dyer. The meaning underneath it all is what is important. The attempt to get all of you to take the focus off of the I when we say I am. What is most important to understand here is that the spiritual path is about shifting the identity from I as an individual to the I which cannot be divided. That I is awareness. And what Karen was saying for Wayne through her channeling is that we takes you away from focusing on I. So can we simply say being? Do you understand? Words limit you. I am in itself is a very clear way of expressing what we are trying to impart in this lesson here today. The existence of awareness as the true and underlying essence of all that is. And the moment you put words to it, you have already limited it. So whether you say, I am, or we are trying to get you away from words at all and simply experience being. And so will you all please take one brief breath, exhale to the point of relaxation, and in that exhaled state, experience for however briefly you can, simply being. There. In that moment, when no sensation arose, when no thought arose, when no feeling arose, what did you experience? Was it I am, or was it we are? It was all of it. And so Wayne Dyer was not wrong, nor was he right. These are labels, so we cannot say that Karen Noe was wrong, nor was she right. It is simply another way of spirit trying to express to you from the higher levels your true nature, which can only be experienced in its true essence. Through expressing it, you limit it. Through expressing itself as you, awareness limits itself. Are you understanding now? And this is why it behooves you to spend time in stillness, to glimpse and experience, however briefly, these moments of pure being. And we could sit here all day and answer your questions, but we wish to come back now, step aside, but still merge with Suzanne to interact with you in that way, as awareness being a group of guides who you would know as Sanaya, but we know that we are simply this, as are you. Thank you for your attention. We will enjoy the rest of the day together as you come to know yourself as this here now, awareness, being. Now I see why they wanted to do that. That was pretty coherent, wasn't it? Yeah.